This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore.
You've most assuredly heard it said that if Republicans can't win on the basis of the merit of their ideas and their vision for America, that they're going to say that they were cheated in elections. If they can't win at the ballot box, they're going to win some way, and that's either through insurrection, through an attempted overthrow of the United States government by overturning free and fair elections, or convincing America of their lies. Our election system is maybe the most secure. I don't want to be your typical Americans, so we've got the best, but we've got a very secure system of elections in this country. Top notch. And this is, I'm going to play a clip here, two clips from Tucker Carlson last night, but it should be just glaringly obvious to people that after the 2020 election, when Donald Trump started crying and saying there was overwhelming evidence and having his emissaries like Rudy goofy-ass Giuliani and dumb Mike Lindell canvassed the country saying that they had the evidence, yet never ever producing that evidence, it should be obvious that the only places where they raised a ruckus about election fraud was where they lost. They didn't do it in Texas. They didn't do it in these other states where they weren't doing it in Idaho. They weren't doing it in Oklahoma. They were doing it in Georgia, in Arizona, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania. And that should tell you something. That should tell even a conservative something. Tucker Carlson went on a show last night and is priming his audience. He is prepping them to question the results of the election. And he's doing it in his typical stupid Tucker Carlson dog confused by watching a magic trick way, because he knows his audience isn't filled to the brim with critical thinkers. They, like him, are blown this way and that by the winds of conspiracy. Watch this first clip. We'll talk about it on the other side.
So here we are less than a week before the Democratic Party is expected to suffer overwhelming losses in the midterm elections. And here you have the leader of that party, Joe Biden, commanding you not to complain about the election results. Why is that? Well, let's see. Here's Joe Biden telling you that thanks to the many changes Democrats have made to our system of voting, all of which make voter fraud easier to commit, we may not know the results of the elections for a few days. But don't be alarmed. Everything is completely on the level. And whatever you do, do not ask questions, or else you're a criminal.
All right, two things here. One, let's address the last point. The way our elections work in this country, they are the individual rules for states are set by those states. That's why each state has a Secretary of State whose primary duty is to administer elections. And several states have different rules. For instance, in Pennsylvania, they can't start counting the mail-in ballots, the absentee ballots, until Election Day. They can't even open the envelopes until the polls close. So you have millions, prospectively, millions of ballots in envelopes that can't even begun to be addressed until the polls close. It is impossible to count all of the ballots. And yet, those rules in Pennsylvania that were put in place by Republicans are now being questioned by Republicans as some sort of nefarious tactic to steal elections. Secondly, Joe Biden in his speech last night, Tucker Carlson calling into question, saying that the Republicans are expected to overwhelmingly win in the midterms. Certainly, things are looking grave relative to the turn that has taken, but that's polling. We don't know that. And I can guarantee you this, if Republicans win, the number of Republicans who do win in this midterm election, you're not going to see Joe Biden calling into question those election results. When Joe Biden says, don't question the results because we have a system that is safe, is secure, it is fair, he's not saying only if Democrats win that's the case. He's saying that's the case. If Republicans win, it was fair. If Democrats win, it was fair. But that logic doesn't jibe with Tucker Carlson and his mini brain, his smooth, unconvoluted brain. To them, if they lost, it must have been cheating. It couldn't have been because of the bigotry and the white supremacy and the adherence to authoritarianism and fascism. It couldn't be that. It couldn't be that your ideas are out of step with the mainstream of the American people, Tucker. Couldn't be that. It's gotta be cheating. You vile white supremacist POS. Second clip here. He's running away with the conspiracy theory that in Brazil, Bolsonaro's loss is being chalked up to fraud. There had to have been fraud. It couldn't be that it was just a tight election. And he's running away with that and then posturing it to talk about our lack of democracy. That you have to question the legitimacy of the results. Otherwise, you're not a patriot, is ultimately his takeaway. Watch this.
In the absence of transparency, what fills the void? Conspiracy theories. If you want people to believe the truth, tell them the truth. Stop hiding things. That's not a functioning democracy. In a functioning democracy, you're not simply allowed to raise questions about elections, you're encouraged to. You're encouraged to because it's your government. There's no such thing as election denying in a free society. It's called free speech. You're allowed to say it if you think it. Period.
Period. Thanks, Tucker. Thanks for really putting a period on the end of your sentence. F***ing idiot. Listen, raising questions about elections is not the primary problem here. It's when raising questions about elections rises to the level of insurrection against the United States government, an attack on our capital, an attempted assassination, or at least flirting with assassination of the Vice President of the United States, the stalking and hunting of the Speaker of the House of Representatives of the United States of America in the Capitol building where she works. That is not questioning an election. That's attempting to overthrow the government by way of overturning an election. And it's not patriotic, and it's certainly not legal, and it certainly does not fall within the bounds of the freedom of speech protected by the First Amendment of the Constitution. And Tucker knows that. But he hopes, he probably does have his finger on the pulse of who his audience is, his aging out, his septuagenarian audience, his audience of dullards, of mouth-breathing ghouls. He knows that they don't know. They don't know any of this. They just follow along like lemmings. And it is dangerous. And it is unpatriotic. It is un-American. It is anti-democratic. But not if you listen to Tucker Carlson on the reg. What do you think? I'd love to know. You can call. Leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. I would love to hear from you. Follow me on the social media. I am at Dollemore on Twitter, at Dollemore on Instagram, and I am back, baby. Back on TikTok, at Dollemore. For now, I got a community guideline strike, my first day back. What are you going to do? The content's no different than what I post here. Not a problem. I even bleep the F word. But, TikTok, a little sensitive. Unless you're, scantily clad and dancing around. Anyway, if I do something for you, if you appreciate what I do and you want to join me in the work that I do, help produce what I'm doing right here, click the join button below. Become a channel member for as little as $1.99 a month, or head on over to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. The other thing that I would ask is go subscribe to the lovely, talented, and scholarly Brittany Page's new YouTube channel. She sat in for me while I was going through and recovering from colon cancer surgery. And it is a new endeavor over there. All of your support helps. Watching her videos, liking, commenting, subscribing, all of the stuff that new YouTubers really need you to do. Well, even old YouTubers, even though I don't know that I'm an old YouTuber. I would appreciate it very much. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I'll see you next time. Till I do, be genuine. Take care of one another.